Yeah, we're making good progress now. I mean, a lot of public facilities will be covered by user groups as well. So I think next three will be a lot faster than the first three. So first one is, and it's kind of parks related, but we put it in public facilities because it's really just for City of Broken Arrow staff, is a new maintenance building for the Parks Department. This is the barn that's south. You're on Aspen Street. You run into the barn when Aspen Street ends. It literally was an old barn. It's when I played ball here 30 years ago. I mean, there was horses in it still, and you could see them walking around the fields while we play. It's in bad shape. It needs improvement, and the idea here is that we would tear down the facility and build them a new large facility for. I believe they use it's maintenance for this park, but I believe they use it for maintenance of all parks. Right. So it's more.
I don't think this is on your orientation. And I would encourage council members to contact Lori Hill if you want to go tour it, because, you know, obviously we're upgrading the other facilities in a couple of different places related to public works type operations. This is the one that I believe is one of the last ones that we need to do in terms of getting it basically to the standards we have for the other buildings. And so if anyone wants to take the tour, just let Lori know, and then we can coordinate with Matt. But this is something I think is very, very important.
Yeah, that's the end of the road there in Indian Springs,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Is this where they also do the flowers and stuff for the Rose District? Do they plant the flowers in the baskets there, or is that a whole different building?
Have to ask Matt. I'm not sure.
I think Matt's taking it
Do they do the Rose District plantings here?
No, there's no greenhouse. We don't have greenhouse.
Where do you get those?
All the places.
Like the Rose District plantings?
Yeah, so just different nurseries.
Oh, okay. I thought when we did the ribbon cutting for the soccer fields that they were doing that in one of those buildings, so I don't know. Maybe they're just organizing. Maybe it was just storage or something, getting ready to do it. Okay. So that'd be for like equipment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Equipment people, I think they start their work day here. Like the top portion of it's like a little old house or something. I think this is where the people come to start work every day.
And that's $3 million, 18,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's you know, building space is relative to what you're building. You know, it's not a super high dollar per square foot type space because it's going to be very big open space, prefabricated metal building type, and then finish out some nicer work areas. So. Moving on, streets and what's currently the Streets and Stormwater building, but I think is in the process of name change to something like the Operations Center admin building. As part of the building master plan that council's approved, you know, we're currently doing improvements to the field services building out back, which is the old Windstream building, and that's being remodeled right now. Construction's almost done, and we're going to move more of our field services staff back into that building. And then also currently under design is the improvements to the administration building up front, which would then become the home for our administrative teams, directors, and other staff for streets and stormwater, utilities, and all that. So they're there on that site with their crews in the back behind them. On that site, we're proposing a couple of different projects in the bond. One big one is a climate-controlled garage. Actually hoping it could be cheaper than the number we've shown here. I think we're showing climate controlled and probably like a higher level here than what I anticipate being the ultimate product. We do anticipate the garage being pretty big, but the goal being to store our high dollar equipment, vac trucks, snow plows when snow events come in. Where do we put our vehicles so they're not freezing during the snow event so they can go attack the street as soon as the event happens? Currently, my understanding from those teams is they play Tetris and they pack those vehicles into our work areas. So snowstorms coming, we open the doors, park all the vehicles in as tight as possible, and then get them out there working as soon as practical. The long-term goal would be to get a facility that's designated for the storage of these vehicles. You get them out of the weather, the elements, you get less wear and tear on them regularly. And then the climate control here is not, 70 degrees, it feels good in here. It's 40 degrees, it keeps the vehicles above freezing. So, you're getting into a vehicle that's operational, can turn on, ready to go.
Yeah, when I did the snow plowing a couple of years ago, they were having problems with the hydraulic oil freezing.
Yep.
So, I mean, I feel like that, yeah,
Yep.
that's definitely needed.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of challenges that come with the equipment and the mechanicalized parts and the oils and everything else. So the more we can keep that stuff out of the weather, the easier it is for them to do their jobs. The other portion of this that we're suggesting is right now, my team, Streets and Stormwater team, we're going to be working with PD and others, and I think we've talked about it, is working on what could eventually be a traffic operations center. And so we don't have a full plan of what that looks like yet. We are working on a master plan that eventually we can bring to the city manager and then potentially the council to go over. But a plan that allows us to control more of our traffic throughout the city from a home office. And so we are proposing, maybe in a couple of different areas, money to be in this bond to remodel and to remodel the building for the home office of that traffic operations center, and maybe help pay for some of the software and stuff associated with that. But I think, as we've discussed in the past, there's a lot more pieces to that than just the home office and the software. Then it becomes the equipment out at intersection lights, and it becomes the communication piece of how do you get from intersections back home. And that's been discussed. That could be a fiber network that the city owns. It could be agreements with fiber networks companies that are already out there and we agree to tie onto them, or it could be cellular connections. And there's a lot of ways to tackle that problem. We do not have a plan in place yet of how we want to tackle that problem, but we know it's something that we want to work towards. And we're kind of working on a plan as staff that we can eventually bring to leadership, a proposal on that. But the idea is that the bond may include some money to start working towards that direction. Whenever we do have a plan, it's not going to be okay, build this one piece and you flip the switch. It's going to be something that you tackle step by step as you kind of build across the city. The next few items is work out at the what we call the Stark area now, in the fleet maintenance area. First one's fleet maintenance shop. I think some of this work Ryan Bays and his team are trying to accomplish before the bond, but I still think there'll be more work that needs to be done. It's to get air conditioning and other amenities into the facility for those guys to work every day. It's a hot area. Fans, air conditioning, heat. I think we're talking about getting fire suppression in there, hopefully eventually. And then really, I think a big part of this next bond that I don't think we're taking care of right now is just getting break rooms and other amenities for those guys in the fleet shops. I've heard when we've kind of gone through that space study and stuff, they don't have anywhere to heat up their food or go eat right now. Like a lot of them will go sit in their car to eat because that space is not available in that building. I think they could come to other buildings, they come to ours or whatever, but there's nothing there. So the idea to kind of create more of those amenities there at their workplace so they can, stay there if they choose to sit there, eat lunch or take a break or whatever else, and kind of spruce up the other amenities that they have. One idea has also been an automated car wash for all the vehicles we have of all types, trash trucks, fire trucks, our equipment trucks, everything else, have a way to car. Ultimately, we want the vehicles that we have driving around the city of Broken Arrow to look clean, fresh, be a great representative of the city that they represent. Currently, so the question is, do we eventually have our own car wash, or are we able to do that? Currently, we use a mobile car wash system, so we contract people to come in, they clean them all. So the question is, do we eventually build our own, or do we just continue to operate on a mobile car wash type system?
I thought we went through a car wash with tokens. They didn't come to us. I thought we had to go. When I was at the city, I had to put tokens.
You can't do that with trucks.
But the big
and
truck.
fire
No, but
trucks
that's
and-
what I'm hoping. Oh, so they come in and do the big trucks. But
Yes.
this would do
I think it'd take care
all
of everything.
things.
Yep.
Okay, I was like, man, I had to use a token, and
Yeah.
it really wasn't that good
So
of a
smaller
car wash
vehicles,
either.
like my department, I have tokens.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, like my work type vehicle, I have tokens, but
Yeah.
this is bigger equipment.
Gotcha.
And then the idea for a new fuel island, potentially out in East Broken Arrow somewhere, kind of the idea of the fire station, we expand our services for our streets and stormwater department, our solid waste, utilities department. Their services keep expanding out east, get further away, potentially a fuel island out there for them to just refuel. Currently we have 2 in the city. We have one at the Fleet building and the Stark building, and then we have another where streets and stormwater building is. And so the potential to add a third further east. A project that we have talked to you guys about a couple of times, it's, I think, exciting to everybody, that maybe an exciting project for the bond. Currently, we're showing a lump sum number of $10 million for a Rose District Plaza project, but we have not really identified what that project's truly going to be. We've shown you guys a lot of ideas, but we just did an RFP process, and I believe negotiated a contract to have an architect and landscape architect start a design of what an actual master plan of this might be someday. We anticipate having that master plan and that design done before the bond vote, so we can come back to the council for an approval of a master plan of what this truly will be before we get to the bond vote, and we might have more realistic numbers. But the idea being, primary goals, create an expanded farmers market space, because we have an excellent farmers market with a very large list of people that would like to be a part of it. So create more farmers market space, especially covered farmers market space, that's where the vendors want to be. Create a more of a community gathering space, and environmental, and more of maybe an urban park type space, you know, something that can be used for events, just kids hanging out during the day, families, all that stuff, and then a farmer's market area. So I mentioned this as part of the traffic master plan that we talked about, of maybe eventually connecting more of our traffic operations to an office facility that we can control in-house. So I can have staff members that would be able to change our signals from an office. And that's all a vision and a plan. Well, part of that would be, for the communication piece, is that we may want to grow our fiber network and our fiber ring that we use as a city. Part of that ring would be for the traffic purposes, but it also would serve a lot of other purposes. I might actually ask Scott Carr to come up here and comment on some of the other benefits to the city on this one.
I think I'd first make a comment on our existing fiber optic network. You can see it displayed there on the map. It just kind of juts out, goes straight up, cuts over. If we have any kind of cut in the fiber, and we currently actually have a cut, so the bottom part that goes down to New Orleans Square is currently damaged and doesn't go through. And earlier, a couple of years ago, we had a cut up above to the north and had to have that repaired. The difficulty with the current existing city fiber is the age of the optic fiber. And so this is like glass. So if you've seen some vehicles and their headlights, older vehicles, it starts to yellow. That's what happens with optic fiber when it's been in the ground for a while. When we had the cut up north, it took 3 days to put a coupler on it, because every time they'd take the two ends of it and try to attach this coupler, the optic fiber, this glass fiber, would just crumble. It'd just break and crumble. So it took 3 days of trying to get a coupler on it before we got it fixed. The optic fiber to the south is newer. I think it's only about 15 years old. And so our hope there is that goes a little bit better. This project is a ring that would go around the city, and it would be a much larger map structure. It would tie into our existing city fiber, but it would be able to ring the city. What that would allow it to do for the traffic operations center, certainly, for the real-time information center and all the cameras that we're currently putting out. And then we already have a lot of existing, whether it's intersection signal operations or other devices like our lift stations that part of our SCADA network. All of that runs either off Cox business lines. We're starting to switch a few things over to Windstream. We have a lot of cellular devices out there, so we pay a lot of money every month just for connectivity. And then we have a variety of, as the city has expanded, our current optic fiber isn't able to connect all of our facilities. So we have a lot of facilities that are connected through some of these vendors. And then, of course, we even use our microwave network to try and connect some of them. All of those issues that we have with those existing vendors, like uptime. So we'll have fire stations go offline. We'll have, some of our devices, cellular network has problems. We actually had to expand the length of the antennas on some of the cellular devices just because of the cellular noise. So the optic fiber ring would solve all of the day-to-day problems that we have in maintaining our connectivity, as well as tie into a couple of these strategic efforts, not just for the Traffic Operations Center, but also public safety. And then the other thing, the last thing it would do is, because it would be a ring around the city, if there's a cut, it doesn't cut off the entire city. We're fully connected. So we'd have basically the cost savings month to month of being able to just utilize our own optic fiber, as well as expand our technology and become more of a digital city, especially as we upgrade intersections and we move more technology out to different parts of the city. This optic fiber ring supports all of that.
Do you know about how much we save every month?
I know just on the cellular devices, it's around towards $28,000 a month. I'd have to add in the Cox business line amounts and then Windstream and some of the others, but it would have a good ROI if once we bring these other things online, like the Traffic Operations Center. If we were using Cox Business or Windstream or whoever else is out there, that just adds our monthly cost. Same thing with our cameras for Real-Time Information Center.
Thanks. I knew he'd be able to provide more detail. So kind of same with the parks, we front-loaded the items that weren't user group represented, and then back-loaded the other user group facilities because they covered it in the morning, so probably not a lot. I will say on the senior center, we've all discussed, Kim didn't mention it because she was only talking about her facility and everything else, but we've talked about a corridor on the south side of Main Street, so there is some ideas and advantages to going towards an option 2, which I think Kim was trying to promote, of maybe some of that expansion to the south part of Main Street corridor, other things that we may do down there that we could kind of create a complex in that area where we're tying together multiple facilities that are City of Broken Arrow owned.
While you're on this one,
Yes, sir.
we didn't touch on it earlier, but if we look at the senior center and going to option 2, what happens to the community playhouse? If we're making investments in that, and
Well, actually, the thought would be the community playhouse would remain, and then council would decide what they wanted to do with the senior center. I mean, you've heard some comments about the need for storage. So could be an option to do some type of storage. Now, obviously, there may be some unintended consequences of when you do storage there, and I need to work that with staff. Council could also decide to surplus the building and demolish it, and then open that up for redevelopment, especially with all the other possible redevelopment that is going to be happening. You know, I believe there's going to start to be development, despite what some people said earlier today. I believe there's going to start to be growth and prosperity even more than we're seeing now on the south side of the railroad tracks. Sure. Okay, and so that could be an opportunity where there could be some redevelopment. Plus, obviously, there's other projects being considered in that area. So options really remains with the council.
Historical Museum, nothing really to add other than this probably all will be probably discussed with the council, taken into account along with the master plan of what we do with farmers market. You know, obviously those two things are tied together on a site in a way, so what we do with one is going to affect the other. Arts of 302, I think Jennifer covered it well, so unless there's any questions, I think we go there. I think this was covered pretty well as well.
Oh, yeah?
It was covered.
Yeah, I think to the one question y'all asked, obviously, I don't think what was shown on the right side, either one of them might not be the right idea, but it wasn't shown as like either or. It's like you could do one or the other. It's just kind of options of where you could fit something. Veteran Center, their discussion today, we did update it to the slide as quick as possible, but as he mentioned, they have new leadership that's taken over the group. That did not match what their original proposals were, which is fine. We told everybody, you're welcome to change your request. It's whatever you want. Mm-hmm. So we'll put more time into looking. We had $300,000 on here because their original request was for more storage facilities in the back, and we had talked about building that. So we'll change some cost estimating and some stuff based off their request. I know they're asking for parking too. The original design of the facility is like, this is zoned downtown mixed use. In downtown mixed use, you don't have to provide parking for your facility on site. The idea is that there's other downtown parking. Not saying it's right or wrong for them. If the council wants to provide more parking, but the original intent was A, you have street parking in the area. B, you have a community pool parking across the street. Granted, they do have probably more handicaps, people want to be closer, so that's needed. But as the original design, because of the zoning and downtown mixed use, not all parking is required to be on the site that they're wanting. Playhouse, all the improvements Playhouse has asked for previously. It seemed like she had even a reduced list today, but all the improvements asked for previously were really just indoor remodel types. They didn't ask for anything substantial. And that covers it for public facilities. Do we have any questions or anything we want to talk about?